Even though the cryptocurrency market took a dive not long ago, tokenization and stablecoins, two subsets of this sector, are soaring. For all tokenized RWAs, the value is up 10.5%, 30B, or about $4 billion. Additionally, stablecoins are up about 5%. Not only that, but public networks also cost over $294 billion. The value of RWA has increased by more than 12% in the past 30 days. With the addition of another $1 billion, our valuation is now well above $21 billion. The volume of transfers, especially those involving stablecoins, has been experiencing a meteoric rise recently. The 30-day transfer volume has increased by over 38% in the past 30 days, reaching nearly $6 billion for RW. The 30-day transfer volume of stablecoin is 3.59 trillion, an increase of roughly 14% over the previous 30 days. We are seeing tremendous growth everywhere, regardless of what happens with the market prices. Regarding matters that are entirely the subject of discussion, since tokenization and stablecoins are experiencing tremendous growth, not only in the cryptocurrency industry, but also in the TradFi community. Massive involvement from all the major financial institutions. Seeing this makes us happy. We know that the monthly transfer volume of stablecoins is almost $3.7 trillion. Again, this is the usage of stablecoins on these public networks. Therefore, I've been keeping tabs on the volume of transfers. It is clear that August was a monumental month when considering transfer volume, particularly when looking at it on a monthly basis. A little lower than August was September. As we speak, October is drawing close to the midway point of $1.5 trillion. We're keeping an eye on this to see whether it can match the value from the past few months. The fact that December 2024 was so massive, at almost $4 trillion, is what I'm concentrating on. As for whether we can surpass those thresholds, I'm not sure. Remember when we were talking about transfer volume? That's correct, just as I mentioned before. You can't have a stablecoin market without it, as it reveals the total amount of money flowing through stable currencies. Stablecoins, as we all know, have been seeing explosive growth, particularly on many of the fantastic public networks that we highlight. Consider Stellar to illustrate the point. The value of RWA has increased by over 20% in the past 30 days. We have seen a stablecoin market value increase of over 24%. The adoption here may revolve around RWA value if we limit our focus to the adoption process alone. It's becoming absurd. The popularity of stablecoins is skyrocketing. USDC has gained more than 24% in the past 30 days. The current expansion surrounding some of these public networks is just mind-boggling. And if we turn our attention to ROUSD, its rise has been just phenomenal. Now more than $800 million is associated with ROUSD. We've increased by more than 15% in the past 30 days, reaching over $839 million. Increase of 60%, or about 4%, to nearly $5.6 billion in monthly transfer volume. Observing this is completely ridiculous. Once again, there has been a tremendous increase in the adoption of ROUSD. Moving on, let's consider a few things. After all, we're keeping tabs on the headlines as big banks unveil massive stablecoin efforts. Seriously, it's mind-boggling to see TradFi adopt stablecoins and these public networks all at once. Wow, this is just surreal. More and more of the world's largest banks are adopting this system. I stated over 2 years ago, in August of 2023, that we are coming back. How can I picture what's to come? I wanted to know. All of the big banks. My main point was that tokenization will affect every major nation and every dollar. At the outset, I assumed that all the big nations used their own currencies. It was brought up even when dealing with CBDCs. The trend is now towards stablecoins rather than CBDCs. Ignoring that, we also know that all large banks will tokenize their reserves. Well, would you believe it? Back in June, JP Morgan began doing just that. A deposit token in essence, JPMD was a massive step by JP Morgan. Additionally, on September 4th, JP Morgan published a post titled "What to Know About Stablecoins" on their website. In it, they extensively discuss stablecoins and their potential future efforts, drawing examples from the Genius Act. Add to that the fact that I predicted digital currencies will eventually rule the globe. Over time, tokenization will become the norm for all valuable assets. Returning to the topic of tokenization, it is clear that there is a significant change afoot. Not only are stocks, commodities, and institutional funds being tokenized, but private credit, corporate bonds, government bonds, US treasuries, and just about every other asset class imaginable is also being tokenized. Because of it, everything of value is being moved onto the chain. The most significant aspect of the global financial system is the progress towards a world where no single entity controls the currency. Because once again, we are seeing one of the most monumental changes in the history of finance. We require neutral bridge currencies like XRP or possibly XLM as we transition from manual to automated digital operations. Personal opinions are the most bizarre part of this whole mess. Video of US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent encouraging community bankers to use blockchain and stablecoins to fight back against bigger institutions for market share was recently posted on X. Bessent made the remarks during a fireside chat at the Federal Reserve's Community Bank Conference. He made the point that big banks like BNP Paribas and JP Morgan Chase aren't going to help out the local economy or small enterprises, so maybe community banks can start minting their own stablecoins and selling them under their own brand. Noting that crypto and stablecoins are luring in new demographics that conventional big banks might fail to notice, Bessent also linked this to increasing financial knowledge and drawing in younger clients. Take a look at this. However, in your opinion, how will technology play an increasingly important role in the banking industry going forward? And what policy tools do you believe we should employ to help community banks thrive in this technologically advanced market? Looking at one of the most significant regulatory shifts from the Obama to the Trump administration, and there have been many, our focus on artificial intelligence and digital assets stands out as particularly noteworthy. Artificial intelligence during Biden's administration was regulated by dissemination. Like the nuclear program, they plan to put it in a secure location. Google, Microsoft, and Meta were going to get it, and that was the end of it. In contrast, digital assets were on the verge of extinction due to a ban on new account openings by banks and numerous enterprises sent with Wells notifications. I believe that community bankers, owners, whether they are family-owned or not, and shareholders will be hyper-focused on new technology since we're creating a sandbox where there's a lot of experimentation and a lot more offerings. This will allow community banks to avoid being locked into using one of three dominant service providers that offer a wider range of products and services. Similar to how credit card corporations have paved the way, I believe new payment rails will emerge, and we must ensure that they are accessible to all. Even if JP Morgan Chase has its own stablecoin, I believe it's simple. And you'll hear that there are two fantastic participants who are advocating for neighborhood bankers to band together. It's possible to private label things under your own name and not necessarily boost the deposit beta, regardless of whether it's in a cooperative program or not. Additionally, we will ensure that any new regulations are implemented in a cautious and gradual fashion, as we deeply respect community banks. That a shift is coming, and that change will be easy enough for everyone to grasp and experience. What this effectively proves is that all the big banks will soon be releasing stablecoins or offering stablecoins as a white label as part of their huge ongoing initiatives in the field.